Hi, Moni. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we are here for the interview. We organize it. We have a list of questions we get by the instructors. And one of the main questions coming back was about combative. What's your vision? What's your position? Saying that the main question I get is that people are asking why don't we train more combative in a more combative way? Why from point zero students are not exposed to ultra violence in training? What's your philosophy? What's your vision about it?
It's a great question. I think that the vast majority of the students that come into the boot camp learn mostly the technical aspect of CKM, which is definitely the number one thing that you want to do, is to make your students very technical.
Yeah.
If the question is, do we need practically to have good striking and good grappling skill, the answer is yes. It's always going to help you.
Yeah.
If you know how to train it within the system. And what I mean by that, it's always good to understand the chaos of the fight. The fight is happening really quickly, and normally what you're going to do is what you train. What we train the most is what's going to happen in real fight.
Yeah.
So let's say you're going to grappling out and you all want to do is to take somebody and smash him to the ground, or take somebody and go with him to the ground. Probably you're going to do it in a fight. If you're working on striking, you are staying within close range and exchange striking, and then you don't disengage, you have an issue.
Sticky situation.
Nevertheless, it is important to know that. And why? Because we learn to engage and disengage, right? But what if you engage and then you cannot disengage because the other person is grabbing you and striking you and so on, and you need to be able to do something? There is a point to know good elbows, good strikes, proper strikes, and if you've been taken down, to know enough grappling not to get in trouble. So the key point is how to actually add those tools to your arsenal.
Okay.
The number one thing that you need to know is take time. So if you want to learn a good grappling style, it's probably going to take you about 6 years to learn the grappling style. And if you want to learn good striking style, it's about the same. It's about 6 years to really know and to be in a decent level to say, oh, I know that.
Yeah.
So if you decided to go through this route, don't go to just another martial art to learn it. Go to a special person. So if you want to learn boxing, go to a good boxer teacher, and he will teach you good boxing, or if it's a Muay Thai or whatever it is. If you want to go to grappling art, you can go to one judo guy or jiu-jitsu guy and learn some stuff. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to learn? What do I actually want to learn? Do I want to learn lying on my back, having somebody in my guard, and then play with him for 45 minutes in order to be able to perform something? Or do I want something that will be quick and effective? And train in that mindset while you're training. So even if you go to acquire a skill from a boxer, let's say for striking, you said, oh, I really want to know how to do the hook properly, or any of them, but I really want to not stay within the red zone and stay them all the time. So while you're training with them, it's not going to happen, because he wants you to stay close to him.
Yeah.
I throw a punch, you throw a punch, you block, I throw a punch, I maneuver my body 45 degrees and punch you, and so it's back and forth within the red zone. And we all know that if all of a sudden I introduce a knife, everything changed. Or 3 people jumping, it's all changed. So the point is, back to what I said, it's important to know some grappling and it's good to know some striking, but more important is how to train it. Because as I said before, the way we train is exactly what we're going to do in the fight, because under stress, you are automatically going to do what you train the most.
Absolutely.
So if all our system based on in and out, it's important for us to remember that we also have to incorporate from time to time some striking and some grappling within the proportion of the chance that it will happen in the street.
Yeah.
So let's say the fight, in vast majority of the fight, could be between 45 seconds to a minute and a half, say, in reality. If you train out of the 1 minute, say 20% will be about 20 seconds of sticky situation that the guy is holding you and you have to break free or to change the situation, that's okay. But if you are spending hours and hours on grappling and striking, you're going to do grappling and striking as opposed to do the concept of CKM, which is so much in and out. It's so difficult, and we are probably the only system that emphasizes that all the time. Don't stay close, because staying close, everything can go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's number one. Number two, it is also not to put down any of the other system, definitely. It's important to acquire some tools. It's absolutely important to know to punch and take in consideration the bones in your hand when you do that, or your wrist. And to know when you absolutely need to do it, you will do it. And also how to use elbows, knees, headbutt, and so forth. It's also important to understand enough grappling to get out of grappling very quickly.
Yeah.
Because in grappling situation, you are definitely slower, and in multiple attacker situation, it's a disaster. And talking about multiple attackers, it's way better for multiple attacker situation. Striking will help you. If you maneuver your body all the time outside, try to knock out one, knock out the second, get out, and so on. But we are not jumping out of the fire and coming back to the fire, which is exactly what sports and MMA do. They are constantly close in one place and going back and forth. And we don't want to develop that with the students. So, I would say to teach the techniques properly to the students, make sure that they will be technically good. And after they are technically good, they have to understand the structure of the fight. And then start to understand combative, how to do the combative, which is a completely different section of CKM that we have not yet released. And the third is how to use the combative in sticky situation. And what I call sticky is we have green, red, green, red, green. So we are jumping in, we're doing what we do, but now we cannot jump out because of is holding you, another person coming in. Then we have to practice this part. That's absolutely okay for me, as opposed to just, I'm going to stand and exchange with you. So when it's come to develop skill, we can incorporate in the class striking skill for about 20% of the class.
Yeah.
Grappling another 20%, but 60% has to be CKM concept. So your training has to be reflecting the way you're going to act in the fight.
And one of the concerns addressed was also like the violence of the training, or from point zero to having your student already ready to understand what's the punch and to give a punch. What's your approach on this?
Absolutely. So, look, I train people who become world champion in UFC and also Olympics. So I know what that means to go and train people in very extreme way.
Absolutely.
Most of the people who come to CKM are not in any kind of need to be MMA fighter or any of those. They just want to be able to survive in reality and not to get in trouble. That's the normal type of people. If I'm getting a group of people that telling me we are intent to go to the UFC, I will train them differently. But our people need to definitely, when they get to a certain level, to understand what pain is and what extreme training is. But it has to be at the right time. Because if you do it too early to people who just start to develop the technical skill, you lose all the technical.
Technical first.
Right. And that's reminded me something, so I'll share it with everybody. When I was training Jiu-Jitsu, and I was training my student Jiu-Jitsu, there are part of Jiu-Jitsu that it's with gi and some parts is with no gi. And what people don't understand, that the technical aspect of Jiu-Jitsu is way more pronounced when you wear a gi. When you wear a gi, you have more options, you can move properly and so on. You have much more limited with no gi. So I train my students always first with gi, and when they become really good technical with gi, take off your gi, now train without a gi. And then they become better. And that's basically the answer. Train your students to become technical, then teach them the combative, then teach them the dirty, the pain and everything. But it has to be with patience and progression, because they have to develop a certain mindset that will be reflected to their first reaction under stress in a fight.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. As usual, pleasure.